Let's bring in our Alabama insider as well. We told you he was coming on earlier today. He is the host of Alabama at the Voice of College Football. Yours truly, Jackson Johnson. Jackson, what's going on, man? How are you today?
How's it going tonight, Lucas? Good buddy. Thank you for having me on, man.
Yeah, man, really excited to have you on, my friend. Look, it's been a heck of a week as an Alabama fan. I know you are very excited yourself. And look, I told a lot of people that this was going to happen at some point because it was going to happen at some point last year. And not a lot of people believe me because you're talking about a guy that's going to the NFL and Ryan Grubb. You talk about the offensive mastermind that he is, guy that was an unbelievable presence at Washington, had been with Kalen DeBoer for a while. He's been around him since he was at Fresno State. Brilliant offensive line coach. This is a guy that is unbelievable. One of the best offensive minds in all of football. And I think we all saw this come in with how Seattle was doing last year offensively. But Jackson, initial thoughts, Ryan Grubb back in Tuscaloosa, hopefully for a little while at this point.
Well, I'll be honest. I'm so happy that he's back in Tuscaloosa for a second time because it was like, for the first time, he was there for a week, but now it's like, oh, he's coming back to Alabama. And the sign that I should have known that he was coming back was last week, that Kalen DeBoer press conference, when somebody asked him, hey, Ryan Grubb's out of a job. Are you thinking about adding him to your coaching staff? And he said, we've been friends for a long time, and, he knows that if he needs anything, he can let me know. That it wasn't exactly a yes, but it wasn't a no. Those are the key things you definitely have to watch for in press conferences. Not so much when a coach says yes to reporters' question, but if he's not saying no.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think once you knew that Ryan Grubb was going to be out of a job last month, I think a lot of people were pretty certain where he was going to return. And I figured, and look, I'll show up and go ahead and pull up my tweet as we continue along. But no, I knew this was going to happen as soon as he was fired at Seattle earlier last month. And look, I'd never thought that it was a good move for him. I understand where he was going to go, but I mean, the system just never worked for him just being there. He just never looked comfortable going into the NFL. I don't think he was ever ready. But apart from that, I mean, honestly.
Well, he was the fall guy for the Seahawks in the not for long, which is a nice way to say the NFL.
Yeah.
Because it was like, for those that watched the Seahawks, it wasn't the offense that was the issue. It was the offensive line. So it's like, oh, well, we're going to make you the fall guy, Grubb. Bye-bye. It's like, nope.
That's exactly what it was. And there we go. Here's the tweet right now. January 3rd of 2025. Because initially it was written by this guy. Ryan Grubb expected to be let go by the Seahawks after the final game. Look, they were going to let him go literally a month before the season even ended. I think everybody was aware of that. They knew what the offensive line struggles were. It was one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL, and it showed because you saw a lot of Geno Smith running around, didn't really have that much to do on offense. And it just, you saw the struggles that they had a good bit. And then I tweeted out, if Ryan Grubb goes back to Bama, holy cow, this is going to turn a lot of heads in the SEC. And to be honest with you, if anybody is really still surprised that this is happening, don't be. Okay, the surprise factor is done at this point. Yeah. We knew already what difference that Ryan Grubb could be. And I also have this little theory too, Jackson. I think that Grubb was waiting for Jalen Milroe to get out of the building before he bounced. I know it sounds weird to say, but it makes sense. I mean, Ryan Grubb wants to work with a pro-style quarterback. He wants to work with one that's going to drop back, wants to have somebody like Michael Penix, one that's not going to scramble, one that he liked at Fresno State with the Jeff Tedford offense, one that they're known for. Drop back
Jake Hayner.
all the way. Who?
Jake Hayner at Fresno State.
Jeff Tedford was the head coach at Fresno. He's been well known for the spread offense. That's
I was talking about the quarterback that was there in 2020 and 2021.
Oh, I'm not worried about the quarterback that was there. Look, the bottom line is that Jeff Tedford can make any quarterback that he works with turn them into a 3,500, 4,000-yard passer.
Oh, yeah.
Because, look, Jeff Tedford has been around the game for a long time. Jeff Tedford is one of the best offensive minds in college football. And in my opinion, probably ever. He was there when Joey Harrington from Oregon, he was the OC there. Then went to Cal. Ends up leading Aaron Rodgers. Ends up leading a guy like, what's his name from that ended up coming up? Achilles Smith. You had AJ Feely. You had all of these big-time guys that came through, and they just put up gaudy numbers with Tedford, and that's why he was so well-liked throughout the NFL, throughout the college game, and it worked for him. That's why he's still remembered as one of the best minds in college football, and I'm excited to see what Ryan Grubb brings to the table back in Tuscaloosa. How does this shake up the quarterback battle?
Well, I mean, I'm curious to see what's going to happen because, I mean, like for those that tuned into the Alabama College show, like Jeffrey at Only Talk Sports now were like, split on whether we should stick with Simpson or go with Russell for 2025. And, he brought up a good point as to how you don't want to put Russell in right away because you don't want him turning out to be a bust. But on the other hand, it would be pretty cool to see him become like that next Trevor Lawrence, where like Lawrence comes out of the gate in game 5 of the 2018 season, and then boom, he just takes Clemson up to awesomeness from there.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at what Keelan Russell brings to the table, and here's the guy that was the Elite 11 MVP, Gatorade Football Player of the Year as well. I mean, he had a great relationship with Kalen DeBoer back then. That's why he committed there. That's why he was working with Ryan Grubb as well whenever he was whenever they were initially there with Washington. Worked with them a little bit during their junior day back in January whenever DeBoer first came to Alabama. And look, I'll pull up this article too. Ryan Grubb is a huge addition for Keelan Russell and an asset on the recruiting trail. So you're definitely going to see a lot more weapons. You're going to see a lot more offensive skill positions that are going to want to work with a guy like Grubb. A lot of more offensive linemen. You're going to see more of your Tommy Brockermeyers or the Brockermeyer brothers. You're going to see a lot more tight ends commit because they want to get developed by one of the best.
Yeah, I mean, 2025 is going to be a lot better than where 2024 was. I mean, we're not going to be going down against Vandy or Oklahoma anymore. If we do have a bad day, it'll be like 1 game or 2 games, but that's pretty much it. I mean, our offense, like you said, it's going to be a lot better than where it was last season.
Let me ask you this too, Jackson. What was the fan experience? What was the fan side of things like with Jalen at the helm? Was there a lot of frustration there? Just aggravation? What was the overall fan experience and just their reactions to hear how Jalen Milroe performed last year in the DeBoer offense? And what's their reaction now that they're hearing what Ryan Grubb is bringing back to Tuscaloosa?
Well, and I think a lot of fans were obviously frustrated with the way Nick Sheridan ran the offense, and the fact of the matter was they were all also frustrated with how Milroe was playing. They were frustrated with the team overall because, like, I remember it was like the day after we lost to Vanderbilt, I was going off to get my hair cut, and I was hearing a lot of people there at the salon that were like, Nick Saban wouldn't allow this, Nick Saban wouldn't have had this, Nick Saban wouldn't have had that, which I told people, look, this is the first season of no Nick Saban since 2006. You're going to have to get used to things being different. If you want to get back, if you want to win like you were in the Saban era, don't put so much pressure on DeBoer. Let DeBoer cook. Let him work his magic like he did at Washington and Fresno State. And then you're going to see some good days in Tuscaloosa all over again.
Do you think that Milroe made the right move to go to the NFL?
Yes.
Let me ask you this too. Do you see him as a potential first-round pick?
I think he's going to be more like a second-round pick, but it all depends on how he does in the draft combine this year.
I'll say this, Jackson. I saw him in Senior Bowl practice last week. And I talked about it on your show. I've talked about it before. I wasn't impressed. He's a third-round pick to me. He has always been a third-round pick to me. Look, I'll eat my own crow and say this, Jackson, because I initially thought that Kalen DeBoer was going to put him in a good position. I thought I was high on him after that Georgia game. I thought the whole world of college football.
Oh, we all did.
And then I think everything started to break down. I wouldn't say after that Bama game, or I wouldn't say after that Vanderbilt game. I would more or less say after that South Carolina, because last year because many people would say, okay, you lost the Vandy game because your offense couldn't really get a lot going and your defense just couldn't get off the field. Okay, that's one thing. But then you looked at how South Carolina attacked them. And then you saw so much bad stuff happening. You saw just the absolute breakdown of that offense. You saw how Nick Sheridan just was not prepared in that role. And I'll be honest with you, I thought Kalen DeBoer should have taken over play calling much sooner.
Oh, yeah.
I did not think. I don't even know if Nick Sheridan was even play calling. Did they ever say anything about play calling? Was it Sheridan or was it DeBoer?
Oh, it was Sheridan. I know, right?
There's no way. There's no way. Not with a first-year offensive coordinator. I mean, look, I know Sheridan on what he did, but he's never really truly been a pure offensive coordinator because, look, he had that one great year with Penix in Indiana for a couple of years. But, I mean, other than that, would you really consider him an OC? I don't think he was ready at that P4 level. He never was. And, look, I know Indiana is one thing, but expectations at Indiana have never been good. Now, things are going to change after this year because of what they were able to do with Kurt Cignetti and company. But I think apart from that, too, is just the absolute breakdown of what you saw after 2021. And that's when I think everybody should have known Sheridan just wasn't the guy. He wasn't ready to be an OC. But no, going back to that South Carolina game, you saw Jalen just make so many questionable throws. He didn't run. He was ineffective running the football, except for near the goal line. You had 313 total yards against that South Carolina defense that got after dudes' asses all damn year, dude. And it was just unbelievable to me. But when in your opinion, was the absolute breakdown of this Bama offense?
Oh, we didn't run the ball enough. That was the thing. We didn't run the ball enough. Like when we ran the ball against LSU, we won big time. We ran the ball against Missouri, we won big time. The games that we didn't run the ball enough in were against South Carolina. We almost lost that game and we almost blew it. We didn't run the ball enough against Tennessee. I don't think we ran the ball enough against Vanderbilt or Oklahoma for that matter. And we certainly didn't run the ball enough against Michigan. Because we did not hand it off to Jam Miller. We should have utilized him, but we didn't.
Yeah, I think I think that Kalen DeBoer wanted Jalen Milroe, and Nick Sheridan's involved in it too. I think they both wanted him to be more involved in throwing the football. And Jalen Milroe is just not a pro-style quarterback. He never has and he never will be. People can compare him to Lamar Jackson because of his physique, but that's just a physique. The NFL draft may draft you because of what you do in the combine, which is what they're doing nowadays. They don't even care about the game film now.
No.
But I think scouts really need to start paying attention to what is going on in game. We got to stop being lazy. We got to stop letting these mock drafts determine what you draft in. And look, things were different in the 90s whenever Indianapolis Colts GM said, oh, who the hell is Mel Kiper, which I still say, by the way.
Oh, he's a moron.
I think at the end of the day, you're still seeing a lot of these analysts around the NFL still listen to these mock drafts, and I think, hey, we're going to take a shot on them. And if you look at a guy like Jalen Milroe, who's probably got the most question marks out of every single quarterback in this draft class, I think it shouldn't be an issue as to say, dude, this is a third-round freaking draft pick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the quarterbacks, like for 2025 NFL draft, I mean, it's basically mid. Whereas like years past, like there's a few of them that were pretty good. But this year, it's just not looking too impressive. Yeah, you got Sanders and you got Cam Ward, but I don't think I'd want Cam Ward on my team because it's like if he's going to walk out on his team on halftime without a heads up, I don't want him on my team because I feel like he's going to walk out when he has a bad day.
Now, on that note, I've talked to a lot of insiders around Miami. They say that he was pulled from the game after a half and after he got the record. Wow. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but at the end of the day, I mean, still, if you're going to opt out the full game or don't even play at all or just play the full game. That's the only issue I'll say about that. Alabama goes into this year, according to our friends over at betonline.ag, with the tied for the seventh bet, or tied for the, what number is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth best odds for the 2026 college football playoff. It's a deep roster. I'll say this. It's a much better roster that's coming back. You guys bring back Damani Jackson. You bring back Jalen Mbakwe on the other side. What is one thing that you guys have addressed in the portal, especially on the defensive line?
Oh man, it's gonna be a lot, because we've been adjusting to the portal a little bit, but this year I think the results should show. Like, say we go against Florida State, Wisconsin, weeks 1 and 3. I think our defense will show what's up against Wisconsin and Florida State, and we'll find out a lot more when we play against Georgia in week 5.
You said y'all play Wisconsin or Florida State week 1?
Florida State week 1, and we got Wisconsin in week 3.
Okay.
If I take a guess, Alabama, Florida State's probably going to be a 2:30 game on ABC. Although, we'll know more about when the games are going to be played for weeks 1 through 3 on 3 days before Memorial Day.
Mm-hmm. I don't think the odds have come out yet. I'm trying to look right now.
200 days till kickoff of week 0, 205 days till week 1, and 207 days till week 1 Saturday, and 209 days till Labor Day between TCU and North Carolina.
Hey, yo.
Thanks. And 208 days till we got Miami, Notre Dame, and Virginia.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, man, I'm excited for that one.
I can't wait to see Notre Dame beat Miami on that one.
If that game to me is interesting because you're talking about a Notre Dame team with CJ Carr coming in, who should be that offense with Mike Denbrock and what he's going to do with CJ Carr is going to be so much more wide open, to be honest with you, than you will see with, I would say, probably more so than with what you're going to see probably with what you got with Riley Leonard, because of how Riley Leonard was just so one-dimensional in his game. You're not going to see him throw the football a whole lot, but you're also going to just – he was usually used more. I wouldn't say more like a Jalen or a what's his name, Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
But you never really saw that explosiveness, the same explosiveness that you even saw from Jaden Daniels. But regardless of this, Jackson, what is realistic expectations for Bama going into 2025?
Get back to the playoffs. That is our realistic expectations. Like I want us to get back to the playoffs and finish at least in the top 3 or 4. Because if you finish in the top 4 in the SEC or the Big Ten, you're gonna make it in the playoffs.
Right.
If you finish in the top 4 in the ACC or the Big 12, you better make sure you've got some really good wins that carry out in the long run.
Yeah, man. I mean, I completely agree with you on that one, but it's going to be interesting to see with what you guys get for next year. What do you guys think of getting Dijon Lee on the other side as well to pair along?
It's amazing. It is an amazing addition to our roster.
Have y'all done any how big of a prospect are we talking about? Because they're comparing him to the next Richard Sherman.
Oh, he's huge. I'm loving it. Like the fact that he's compared to Richard Sherman is amazing right there. It's like I'm already getting excited just thinking about seeing this kid come out in Tuscaloosa for 2025. Like he may just be a year 1 starter. He's so good.
Bold, especially when you have 2 already outstanding cornerbacks as well. Do you think they move him to a safety position? I mean, he's 6'4", 190 pounds as well.
It could be a possibility. I mean, it's like we gotta make sure our defense is looking really good for 2025.
We'll just have to see with that one. Staying alongside the class of 2025 with what you guys have, what are some other names around Alabama that we need to be looking out for going into this year?
Well, there's Carroll from our O-line. That's a name that we need to look out for because, I mean, he's a great addition right there. And, yeah, I'm excited to see what he brings to the table. And, of course, there's Keelan Russell. Jackson Lloyd, I think, is a great one. He's an offensive tackle. I think he can really protect you big time. And, of course, there's Ivan Taylor. I cannot wait to see what Ivan Taylor brings out.
Where does he play? Or what position does he play?
He is a safety.
Gotcha.
And he's a 4-star. We got him from Winter Garden, Florida.
I think that's still around the state of Miami.
Oh, wow.
As Howard Schnellenberger used to call it.
Well, we got Ackland Deer.
No, that's a 3.5-hour drive. That's right around that Tampa area.
Oh, wow.
But it's still around that. It's still around the state of Miami.
There we go. And we got Ackland Deer, running back. I want to see him get some carries for 2025. That would be cool. Because, I mean, we've had some great running backs throughout our history, like Mark Ingram and Trent Richardson and Derrick Henry. Great to see Deer coming in and adding to that history of top-notch running backs for Tuscaloosa.
What do you think of the running back room this year? Obviously, with Jam Miller coming back, who I've already said, if you get him more involved, he's a 500, 750-yard back.
That's all we have to do is let him run the ball, let him cook. We're good to go for 2025. We didn't let him cook enough in 2024.
I feel like he was limited too. I think that
I know, right?
I think the offense was just so focused around Milroe that you never really got to see the true what can I call it? Just the overall capability and the overall athlete that Jam Miller is. I mean, coming out of high school, this kid was a freaking stud. I mean, here's a guy that may be undersized for what he does. He brings to the table at just 5'10", but the guy is a really, really solid back. I mean, I know that here's a guy that was behind Roydell Williams and Jason McClellan last year, both of which are in the NFL draft. Or I don't know if Roydell Williams is, but man, you got to think that this has to be a breakout year for Jam Miller going into this one, because the last couple of years for Alabama in the run game just has not been showing whatsoever.
Yeah. We just got to utilize that run game. We're good to go.
Jackson Johnson, host of the Voice of College Football Alabama, joining us inside the huddle. Guys, make sure you leave your comments, your questions, wherever you can in the comment section below. Remember, if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure you share it to all of your friends as well. If you're watching us on X, make sure that you guys leave a like as well. We're going to go ahead and put Jackson's social medias up here. Make sure y'all check him out over at the Voice of College Football at Jackson and VOCFB. Check him out on YouTube, Jackson Johnson 97, Instagram at Jackson.Johnson5433908. Also check him out on some threads. Y'all do some threads action. I've never really been on threads, to be honest with you.
I'm on there here and there, but it's just like I'm just kind of expanding on social media. I'm just trying to catch them all on social media, like Pokemon, like Ash Ketchum.
Oh, my goodness. How old are you, Jackson?
27.
Oh, you're 27. Would you believe me if I told you I'm 20?
Wow. Nice. You're same age. You're about the same age as Jeffrey. It only taught sports.
Uh-oh. We need to get Jeffrey up in here if he wants to come play do some Indiana talk, man. I mean, I'm excited for that one, but
oh, there we go. Oh man, I'll tell you this though. I've been hearing about Nebraska, where how there may not be a spring game for them because
we're gonna get into that one in a little bit, dude. I think that honestly, I think Baylor initially was going to do the same thing, but I mean, we've been hearing about the tampering ever since Jim Mora Jr. said something about it after UConn won their bowl game. And to be honest with you, I don't know why the NCAA hasn't really been investigating it a whole lot. And it doesn't make much sense to me at the end of the day. But what do I know? I've been around the college game for about 10 years now. I mean, I've been watching college football ever since I was a kid. I know what goes on behind the scenes at this point. Anyways, Jackson, I got to show you something that I put out yesterday. So I said, I know it's not really sports related, but I put out that the Grammys were rigged. You know why? Because freaking, dude, the country was insane. Beyonce apparently won the freaking Grammys for the Country Music Awards. This is what I said. Beyonce is not a country singer. The Grammys were rigged this year. Let's get real. This is
I haven't even watched the Grammys. I heard a little bit about Beyonce. Like, it's like I gotta do better.
Beyonce is not a country singer.
I know, right? It's like I think some people worship Beyonce a little too much.
And it's ridiculous. I mean, what has Beyonce done? You just can never get into it. But anyway, this is the freaking response.
If you or I were like Beyonce, I don't think we'd last long.
No.
I remember Chris Rock on one of his comedy specials. This was in 2023 on Netflix, where he said, like, if Beyonce was working at McDonald's, she would get a lot of looks. But if Jay-Z was at McDonald's, nobody would be giving him a look. Like that
is true.
Oh yeah.
This is the response I get. I think you missed this part of her speech, Lucas. I think sometimes genre is a cold world to keep us in our place as artists. And I just want to encourage people to do what they are passionate about and to stay persistent. Okay, but buddy, What part of that song sounds anything like a country song? Nothing. Get
No.
real.
Oh man, you're
Post
gonna
Malone is a better freaking addition to the country music scene than Beyonce. Let's get real about that bullshit. I mean, come on. Come on.
Oh, that's funny, man.
Jackson, been a pleasure having you today, my brother. Have a great rest of the day. Make sure that you follow Jackson on all social media. Also, make sure you check out Alabama at the Voice of College Football. We're going to go ahead, post that in our comments section. Make sure you check it out.
I appreciate it, man.
YouTube.
I'm 107 subs away from that magic number 500 on Jackson Johnson 979, and also on Alabama with the Voice College Football. We are looking to beat Texas at the Voice College Football to 3,000 subs.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Follow them on there. Make sure you follow Alabama at the Voice of College Football at Alabama at VOCFB. Good friends Mark Rogers and the company. They're doing a great job at the Voice of College Football. Mark is a friend of ours, as well as a former guest here on the show. Jackson, what else you got before you head out, brother?
Well, I've got an upcoming episode release of the Jacksonian of episode 60 with the host of Locked On Patriots, Mike Debate, as we will be going over quite a lot on our take on the Patriots from 2024 and what Mike Vrabel being hired as the new head coach means for not only the Patriots, but the AFC East as well. And I can tell you right now, and at some point, watch for a post all over on X, Instagram, and all over social media where I ask all of you, who should I have on for the next 39 episodes afterwards?